Welcome back to Closing Time with Nick El-Tawil. I am once again Nick El-Tawil, and I'm here with my guest today, Greg Lim. Greg, how you doing today?
Doing really well. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thanks for coming on. I see you're sitting up straight, sucking in your gut.
That's
You're
right.
camera ready, baby.
Always. Dark shirt, I'm good.
So, Greg, you're an Empire guy. You're a tech guy. You've been in AZ forever.
Mm-hmm.
We had a conversation the other day, and we were talking about this gas station in Queen Creek called Diamond Dot. And I hadn't heard of Diamond Dot since I was in high school. So it was wild to me that you had known that, because you've been around for a while if you know Diamond Dot.
I have, despite this funny accent, originally from New Zealand, but I've lived in Phoenix for over 35 years now. So this is home. My family's here. I grew up here, went to high school here. My family's here. My wife's family's here. So not planning to leave anytime soon. Really love it here.
Wait, you went to high school here, and you
to
still
high
have
school.
that accent?
So, funny story. My father's from Malaysia. He learned to speak English at a Irish Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad's got this Malaysian Irish accent. My mother has a New Zealand accent.
Okay.
My brother sounds American, and I'm somewhere right in the middle. So all four of us sound completely different.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's it doesn't necessarily sound like any specific accent.
Mm-hmm.
When you said New Zealand, I was like, okay, I can see it, but clearly it's more than that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
bit of this, bit of that.
So okay, you came out here for high school. Where'd you go to high school?
Horizon up in North Phoenix, North Scottsdale
Okay.
area.
Okay.
There and then down to U of A and back up here for work. And so worked in California for a couple of stints here and there, Silicon Valley, Orange County, but keep coming back to Phoenix. This is home.
It is a sweet place. I took it for granted growing up here, but yeah, it's pretty nice living.
Yeah.
Yeah. My cousins went to Horizon actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my Scottsdale cousins all went to Horizon. They're 10 years younger than me, so I don't think you know them. But
Probably not. I'm probably 10 years older than you, so we got a big gap.
we got a bit of a gap there. But that's super cool, man. So you got a few things going on right now. I know you're working on a new company with a new product. Are you able to talk about that yet?
Yeah, I can share. We're still in stealth mode, so I won't go into too much of the details. But the concept is, imagine if I went to you and said, I'm going to take away all of your access to your bank accounts and your credit cards, but I still want you to make really good financial decisions. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually what we've normalized in healthcare. I don't know about you, I've never seen my medical records, and if I saw them, I wouldn't even know how to read them or what to do with it. And so what we've really done is we've created a consumer-first platform that allows us to do really three things. One, get you access to all of your health data, all of your medical records across different doctor visits, across different hospital systems, across different electronic health record companies. I assumed when I went to my doctor, he had my records. That's actually not a thing. So first, we allow you to get all of your medical records as well as all of your real-time data from wearables in one space. Two, we layer on AI, artificial intelligence. We have a medically trained intelligence that turns that medical data into proactive health recommendations. And then the third thing is, not only this is a great tool, think of it as ChatGPT, but private and medically trained with your data. It's not just about you day to day. When you do have to go to the doctor, we can export and summarize what's going on in your body so that in the 13 minutes you get to spend with your doctor, you can actually have a meaningful and beneficial conversation about what's going on in your health. So super excited, purposely built this because of my family's health stories. Purposely built it in Arizona because I think it's a great place to start a company. It's a great business and supportive environment. And then really excited to have this in market here in Q1.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, healthcare, I think, is the number one industry in Arizona right now. So
It is.
that is, yeah. And my dad is in healthcare, so I might actually tell him about this. He's at Blue Cross Blue Shield Health Insurance, and yeah, his whole job is basically looking at medical records and being like, okay, well, we got to pay this, but we don't have to pay this, we don't have to pay that. So yeah, I think it would be great for people to see, because I've never seen my medical records either.
Yeah, I think once we normalize having access to our own health data, no one's ever going to want to give that up.
Right.
So we're really excited. We just want to get in people's hands. We want to make a difference in their health, and then see what we can do to just help people feel better.
Right. It's probably hard to get though, because I went to doctors in New York, I went to doctors here, and that data isn't always shared.
Yeah.
There's only some things that are shared. I've heard some things from one doctor, oh, you did this back in the day, but they don't know the full picture.
Exactly. I thought I'd go to my doctor. Depends who it was. He or she would open their laptop while they were chatting to me. I assumed they were looking at my records. So what I've learned now coming into the industry is your medical records are siloed by your doctor group, by the hospital system,
Mm-hmm.
by the electronic health record platform underneath they use it. And so some of these kind of do some sharing. It's not really that efficient. Most of them don't share with each other. And I actually know a number of health clinics that actually still fax requests to other doctors' offices to request your records, and they most likely get them after you've had your appointment and are worthless anyway.
Yeah.
And so we've figured out how to kind of navigate all of this, plus layer on your real-time data to actually create a universal health record for the first time.
That's awesome.
So yeah, we're excited. Like I said, I just really want to help out. My mum was incorrectly diagnosed with brain cancer. My dad was discharged early from a hospital after a stroke, and now he's permanently disabled. So I've struggled as a primary caregiver through these different health journeys, realizing how terrible it can be for patients, how terrible it is for caregivers, and candidly, it's just as terrible for the doctors. The doctors and nurses are just as frustrated as we are. So there's just got to be a better way to really kind of move everyone forward.
Right, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that about your family.
No worries, it is what it is.
I mean,
my mom's doing well now. Like
I mean, she was incorrectly diagnosed, so that's actually, I'd rather have that than actual diagnosed.
Yeah.
But that's really tough. How long ago was that with your dad?
My dad was about 5 years ago. So my father actually used to be one of the top martial arts instructors in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He was in all the magazines. He traveled around the world teaching special forces, other instructors, and he lived in his body. And so unfortunately, he had a first stroke. We were able to get him rehabbed and back to living by himself, which no one ever expected. And then unfortunately, he had a second stroke. And when he was admitted to the hospital, they discharged him within 24, 48 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I got him home. I realized something still wasn't right. I turned around and readmitted him to the hospital, but by then the damage had been done. And so now 5 years later, he's in a care facility. Then, it's not an ideal outcome, but I think he's made peace with it. We've made peace with it. And it's just, that's one of the things that inspired this, is what I realized is those doctors and nurses only knew my father after the stroke when he came into the ER.
Yeah.
If they'd known what he was like an hour before, a day before, or a week before, he never would have been discharged. And so if you think about it, if you see a doctor 4 times a year for 15 minutes, that's 1 hour a year.
Yeah.
What about the other 364 days and 23 hours we're completely ignoring? And that's really what kind of inspired this, is how do we bring real-time data, medical data together to not only empower patients, but to share it with doctors so they can make better clinical decisions. I believe if the doctors and nurses who were obviously trying their best, if they had that data, my father would never be where he is today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? Because what could you do? Could you import people's Apple Watches or something and then get that data and add it to their medical records?
That's exactly what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
When I say we create a living health profile, it's not just, I use the word health because in my mind that's medical and it's wellness. So yes, we get all of the medical records, but we also layer on data from any of your activity trackers, Apple, Garmin, Fitbit, or etc., so that you can have a complete 360-degree view of your health, from medical records to prescriptions to labs to sleep to physiological symptoms to activity, etc., all in a single place.
Yeah. And I think that would just be huge for everybody. Now, I know there would be pushback from a lot of people oh, I'm going to have a crazy night out. I don't want my doctor to know about that. You probably get some of that. But yeah, for your actual health, that's just a bullet you have to bite. The doctor's going to tell you, don't stay out till 5 a.m. this one time. You just don't do that. That's not good for you. But, having that information and you're honest about it and you're straightforward. Hey, doc, I did do this and this happened. Well, here's how we can, I'm going to tell you not to do that. You might still do it anyway, but here's how you can manage those symptoms better.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they're making that recommendation from a place of being informed by your actual data,
yeah,
rather than just kind of filling in the gaps and kind of guessing.
Right. They guess, oh yeah, you probably like to go out and have fun, but did they really know how much?
Probably not. It's the old joke, you fill out those forms, how many drinks a week? 2. Right? And you kind of chuckle to yourself, right? But so I just think that the more data, the better. And ultimately, I think what's really great about this is because we built this from my family's experience, we're not building this for the doctors, we're not building it for the hospitals, we're not building it for the insurance companies, we're building it for you. So at the end of the day, it's your data. You can share it with whoever you want. You can recall it if you change doctors, or you share it with someone, a trainer, you want to change trainers, you can recall that data, you can delete it. This isn't about us owning your data. It's not about us owning your data and trying to sell it to the insurance companies. This is about you having access to your own data to make better decisions about your life, and then you can choose how to manage, share it as needed. I
was going to say, insurance companies probably really like this information, because they can be okay, well, this guy has been doing crazy drugs, doing this and that. maybe we don't want to cover this guy. They would really like that data.
Yeah, they would, and that's exactly why we're going to consumers, and privacy, trust, and security is foundational to what we do, because this is your most intimate data. If you think about it, it's more valuable, it's more personal, it's more intimate than your financial data. You wouldn't go around sharing your bank statements with anyone, but all of these other people except you have access to your health data. Yeah, unless you're a rapper. Maybe you're on MTV Cribs, right?
So maybe I shouldn't tell my dad about this because he works in health insurance. He'd be like, "Yeah, we want this."
I'll still chat to him. We'll see if we can help them. Like I said, but ultimately it's you. If you want to share it with your insurance company because you save money or there's a benefit, great. And if there's not, it's your data.
Right, it's your data. Don't share it to him unless it's going to help you.
Exactly. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So like I said, we're just excited to get in people's hands. Excited to save people the frustration of the journey that me and my family went through. So I'm just and I'm excited. Just candidly founded in Arizona. I think it's just such a great state for business. I've had a great career here. I just think there's so much opportunity. It's very supportive, especially in the startup community. So this is where I live, but it's also, I'm fortunate I live here because of all these, great support networks around business as well.
Absolutely. And again, we got the Mayo Clinic, healthcare #1 industry out here. Yeah. Humana was headquartered here for a while. I think they've moved back to Kentucky or wherever they're from for the most part, but they're still here. So there's a lot out here in that industry.
We were really fortunate. We actually, earlier in the year, we were out of hundreds of companies who applied, we were one of 10 companies that actually got into the Mayo Clinic MedTech Accelerator. So we were able to spend time with the Mayo Clinic. They're in fact an investor in our company. And so having them as a resource, being based here in Scottsdale, has just been fantastic for our business.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's huge. Do you have a name for this company?
I do. It's Well-Beings.
Well-Beings.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, that's...
We're all well-beings. We deserve to be well. As a group, we're well-beings. You want people to support you. So I think lots of ways it plays out.
So I just think it's so cool that we have all these interesting tech startups here at Empire. I was just talking to somebody about this last week, actually. When I was growing up here, it was really there was only a couple industries: real estate, healthcare, the auto industry, as you mentioned, Gavin Parkway. Yeah. To see all this tech coming out of here, that's so cool because you wouldn't think that for Arizona. You think San Francisco, you might think Austin, maybe New York. No, Arizona is really coming onto that scene.
Yeah, there's some really cool just kind of startups, early and mid-stage, do some really cool, interesting things. Then you also get some really cool unicorns. I was fortunate enough to spend 7 years at LifeLock. That was one of the first unicorns to come out of Arizona, built a whole industry that didn't exist around identity theft. After that, I spent some time at Carvana, who's just crushing it right now.
Yeah, right? that was wild.
Their stock was at $300, it was at $3, now it's like $450 again. So just to see their swing and to be blessed to be part of that journey was really cool. So there's a lot of really cool and innovative stuff going on in Arizona. I think it's very much that, Arizona's in the Southwest, but are we South, are we West? I think you get a lot of people coming in who don't grow up here. So it brings a kind of just a good mix of people with different ideas. And because there's not a lot of established industry, say, relative to a Silicon Valley or an LA, people have just created some really differentiated and unique companies. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, LifeLock. So that was a unicorn founded here. I've heard of it. I don't necessarily know all the details. When did you work there?
Oh, gosh. I got 2 young kids, so the first thing that goes is my memory, but 2008 through 2013, 14, somewhere like there. So, yeah, when I came on board, I think they were, I'm trying to remember, it's been a while now, but $40-50 million in revenue, so still pretty sizable. And then when I left 7 years later, they were about just over $1 billion in revenue.
Not bad.
So, yeah, so I was fortunate, took them public, helped continue to then grow, and then a little bit after I left, I actually sold to Symantec for $2.3 billion. So it's weird. It's one of those big companies that's a real Arizona success story, but somehow it's kind of flown under the radar because it's a really, really great company. Yeah,
when I think 2008 Arizona, I tend to think, oh yeah, real estate here went to shit. Everything was, the physical world of Arizona was struggling at that time.
That was definitely the focus, right?
Yeah.
The credit default swaps, everyone's talking about that. No one talked about LifeLock, but there are some, like I said, some incredible stories. I mean, at one point, pretty large population base, supported a lot of people in the economy in this Arizona market while it was growing, and I think it's a really, really cool story that should get, probably candidly a bit more attention.
Well, yeah, I agree. That's awesome. I had no idea on the timeline of all that. Yeah. So that's super cool. You mentioned there was another one, Carvana. So when were you at Carvana?
I was at Carvana. So Carvana actually acquired my last company. So I spent almost a couple of years over there from 2023 to end of 24. Mm-hmm. It was really interesting because I came on right as they kind of crashed and on the upswing. So just kind of seeing both sides of that was really fascinating. I just think what they're doing in the auto industry is so innovative. If you say, hey, I got to go buy a car, no one is excited about that experience. Mm-hmm. Right? You go in, you've got a salesperson who's, I know lots of car salespeople, maybe it's fair, maybe it's not, but very aggressive. You know, you have to sit there, they have to go talk to the manager, they try and wear you out. Like, that whole experience is just candidly a waste of your time. Mm-hmm. It's set up to maximize their profit, and it's even worse if you're a female, right? It can feel just super, super aggressive. And so have an experience where you can go online, select a car, push buy, shows up at your house same day or next day. It's really an incredible experience. And so they see themselves as an e-commerce company, which they are, but behind the scenes, they've set up whole logistical national networks around how to buy, how to recondition, mm-hmm. how to transport and move cars to the right market so that you have a large selection of cars that you can purchase pretty much immediately. And then most recently, they've actually expanded in some markets to selling new cars. So having gone to a dealership in the last few years and experienced the Carvana experience, if I don't have to, I'd never go to a dealership again. Mm-hmm. That old model is dead, mm-hmm. And I actually think they know it. The interesting thing is it's really hard for the OEM car manufacturers, Ford, Chrysler, etc., to disrupt their own business because they manufacture the cars, but they actually have local people or large corporations who own all of the dealerships. Mm-hmm. So while it's not a franchise model, there are multiple levels of ownership, decision-making, mm-hmm. legal agreements. So the manufacturers themselves realize that they have to go to an online model, but the whole dealership model doesn't want that to happen. So it's mm-hmm. a really an interesting industry to watch right now, and seeing how Carvana is transforming it and putting more pressure on these kind of old school models is really fascinating.
For sure, yeah. I'm trying to think, like, so the fact that they're doing mostly used cars, mm-hmm. I think, yeah, that's where you would disrupt it. Yeah. I see. I don't think that would work in real estate, and just the transactions are so. I'm trying to apply it to my business, but like, I think there's just a lot more going on. But a used car, it's like it's not really a deed that transfers over. It's like the car shows up, right? Yeah, and you register it with the.
Yeah, and they do the deed or the transfer and the registration, everything around that as well. But
yeah. But that's a lot less like. It's a lot less official. Like, yeah, there's registration. You have to register your car. Yeah. But it's a lot less of a thing.
Yeah. I think the logistics probably get just as complicated. No, actually, no. Not as complicated to your point if I think about it. Where I do think there are some differences is, hey, I want to buy a 2010 Camry or Tundra. As long as the quality's good, and I have one of the great things they did was actually have a return policy, so it takes all the risk off the table. Because I haven't seen it, but I know on Tundra, I know on a Camry, you can buy it pretty straightforward. If you're buying a house, you want to go walk through it, you want to experience that emotional appeal, and the size of importance of that transaction is vastly different than buying a vehicle. And so where I think Carvana really solved the magic is you have buying something on Amazon, a widget, buying a house. Historically, that feeling about buying a car was closer to buying a house, and they've almost been able to kind of commoditize it and create this incredible experience around it that lowers that risk profile, that they can treat it almost as if buying something on Amazon.
So I will say I'm into watches. I like mm-hmm. watches. There's a website called Chrono24 mm-hmm. for watches. Yep. That's where I got this watch. And this probably costs as much as someone's used car. Not a very nice one. Maybe like a 1990s used car or something. But that Chrono24 website has exactly what you're saying. It's return policy, so there was no risk for me.
Yes.
If they sent me a fake watch, I get all my money back because they hold the money in escrow. And then, it just makes it very easy. The interesting thing, though, if you're buying watches on Chrono24, they tend to be more expensive than going to a local dealer. So, because Chrono24 has to make its money, right?
Yes.
So, you go on Chrono, it's unless if it's something you can't find, like I couldn't find this at a local
So you probably get size and scale of choice, right?
This was only ever made in Japan. It was a limited edition, sold in Japan. That's why I got it. It was cool. It's something you can't get. So I had to go on Chrono 24 for
What type of watch is it?
This is Frank Mueller.
That's Frank. I thought it was actually. It's been a while, but.
So, this was great for Chrono 24. Now, if I wanted something that's more readily available, like a Rolex or something, I'd actually get a better deal from my local dealer than going on Chrono 24. But Chrono 24 is like if you don't know watches like that, like you don't know a watch guy, you just go on Chrono 24. It's like Amazon.
Yeah, makes sense. So you see that in a lot of these industries. I feel like, not every industry, but most consumer products at this point have been disrupted and moving online. So,
Yeah. And and maybe there is a way where that happens in real estate down the line. It's going to be a lot less like, oh, click the button, you buy it, and you get a house.
Yeah.
Like, it's never going to be that. But I do, because I've seen it with watches, and now you're telling me Carvana works exactly the same way.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Well, one day, I actually, we will talk about real estate and how that can be disrupted. One of my jobs was
Give it to me.
I ran all of the finance for First American Title Insurance Company, so very familiar with the title industry.
Oh, the title industry is an absolute racket. They have more profit than any other insurance ever.
We could talk for hours about that. Maybe another episode about title insurance. I think that's the next industry that's ripe to be disrupted.
You know how you disrupt that? And I've talked about this a million times, and I've known it for 10 years. You record all property deeds on the blockchain, central database, boom. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no more need for title insurance. Transactions are irreversible. You can't fraud. There's no anything. Blockchain.
There's a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, so there's a lot of opportunity there, and I've talked to a lot of people about this. And it's just, you'd have to build that and then sell it to the government. That's the only problem, because the government's the one that records that. So getting the government on blockchain is the only struggle. Yeah. But yeah, it's a very easy fix, and then title insurance is just unnecessary.
Let's just say it's very high margin.
Very, very, very high margin. But the thing is, you still have to pay for it, because at that one time...
The downside risk is really high.
The downside risk is so high that you'd be dumb not to get it.
The smartest thing title insurance ever did was, they don't go to you, the end consumer, and say, do you want to buy title insurance? Because some people would say no. Mm-hmm. But they actually went to the people loaning you the money, the banks, and said, you're loaning your customer the money, but technically you still own the property because you're holding... it's your loan, you have all of the risk, so why don't you require your customer to purchase title insurance to protect your loan? Mm-hmm. And so you're required by the lender to actually purchase title insurance. So that kind of requirement of purchasing is really what drove 100% coverage. It's a fascinating model around distribution.
I actually think that's totally fair. Because the bank is loaning 80% plus of the money.
Yes,
like they
absolutely
should.
They have the risk.
They have the right to say that.
I understand why, but I'm always curious as what other businesses can use that same distribution model, because I think it's a very, very smart and obviously efficient way to scale a business. Mm-hmm. So there's some interesting things in that business model.
I've had a lot of clients who have purchased properties in cash. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them still got title insurance. So that's not some people would say no, but they're dumb. Like, people who pay cash also get title insurance.
The risk reward. But literally, you could buy that thing for at least 50% off, and there'd still be enough fat and profit in that for everyone to make a lot of money. So at some point, someone's going to squeeze those margins with a technology solve.
I just think it would just completely go away with blockchain, because it's irreversible. It's like Bitcoin. No one's hacked Bitcoin. Yeah. You can't hack Bitcoin. You can't hack someone's wallet and steal Bitcoin. It's it's there.
I think there's that, right? You need the technology solve. And the second thing is a relationship solve, because you're in the industry, you know it intimately, but the reality is the average person just looks at their broker, their real estate agent, and the real estate agent says, oh, I know Sally down at First American Title, Fidelity Title, I recommend using them. And so
people don't even ask.
They don't, exactly.
I just write in the title rep on the contract. No one ever asks. And I make sure I work with people that I've worked with before, so I trust them, and I know if there's an earnest money dispute, they're probably going to be on my side because I've worked with them before. So it's in their best interest to kind of just go with that. But no one ever asks.
Yeah, so you got to disrupt the technology, but you also got to disrupt the relationship, because it's really the agent like yourself who's driving that decision.
I don't care. I literally don't care. If we could just get rid of title insurance and that's just $3,000 every transaction that buyers don't have to pay, I'd be all on board for that. No offense, WFG Title, I love you guys, but they'd still exist, but that's the thing. WFG would still exist because they're an escrow company.
Yeah.
So they would still exist, and they would still make money, and they'd still be part of every transaction.
You still have title, but maybe it's $500, and your clients get to put another $2,500 back in their pocket.
Right, exactly. So there would be less margins for them, but the system would be better. You wouldn't need title insurance, and they'd still have an escrow company.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think we're on the same page.
One day,
we're on the same page.
The next company, after Well-Beings, we'll do that.
I tried to get Johnny to start that company. We talked about it actually. I forget how the conversation went. My point was, it's going to be really, really hard to like sell this to someone because every county records properties differently, and then you'd have to connect them all centrally. And it's the government that you're trying to sell this to.
Some states still need lawyers. Texas is a county by county, 250, I don't know, more north of 200 different counties. So there's some kind of state by state discrepancies, but net, like, it's ripe for disruption.
Yeah. There was a company called Ripple. I don't know if you're into crypto at all. Ripple, XRP.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Yeah, so they had a deal to do this in Colombia for property deeds. So they were going to record everything on the Ripple blockchain for property deeds. And then the deal was signed, they got a new president or something, and the new president just canceled the deal. Just backed out of it completely.
That's fascinating.
So, yeah.
So what's really interesting is title insurance itself is, I won't use the word scam, but it's high margin.
Very high margin, yes.
But the title itself, in lots of countries, there's not actually a title to your land. How do you know you own land? Well,
Colombia has a big issue with that.
My parents owned it, my grandparents owned it. I've been here for 20 years, so it's just mine. But there are actually some really fascinating studies about when countries enable the ability to title your land, it allows you to then borrow money against that because you can basically, you're not insuring, but if you're going out and taking a loan, it's collateralized and it actually opens up a lot of economic opportunity because before, if I go borrow money, I have to pay a high rate or there's high risk. Maybe I can't even get a loan to start a business or whatever I want this capital for. But once you have the title and say, this is my land and there's value associated with it, that allows some of these kind of third world countries that are trying to grow their economy to then go out and actually get leverage and expand capital investment, start small businesses, build the economy. So there's some really interesting data around how title actually unlocks the economies for some of these kind of like earlier stage countries.
Absolutely, yeah. And Colombia was a big one of those where they had issues like that. So that's why XRP wanted that to be the testing ground.
Super smart.
But then it turns out, oh, by the way, the government's kind of corrupt. So when they got a new president,
you had to pay them 30% on the back end. They forgot about that.
Oh, yeah. New president? Fuck that. We're out of that. We don't want you to fix this. Well, man, this has been a great conversation, man. Do you have anything else for us today?
No, just really, really enjoyed that. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you for being my Christmas savior. By the way, it's Christmas when we're dropping this, so Greg's here on the holidays. Our building's empty. Literally no one is working. Everybody's driving around 5 miles an hour like they're on vacation already. So thank you for doing this week.
No worries. Thank you. And for any of you watching this and considering moving to Arizona, I highly recommend it. Beautiful place to live. Wonderful community. You guys know who to call. So Merry Christmas.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.